Welcome back to my channel. As you all know that the BPSC exam has got postponed, so I thought of resuming the video lectures, and since the science has a lot of weightage in the BPSC exam, so I'll be starting with the lecture series for the uh, science, and I'm starting with the biology. The first chapter would be to introduction to biology and classification of living being. This is a fairly difficult chapter because you have to learn the name of the species, name of the genus, and phylum and whatnot. So let's get started. So biology is the science of study of living organism on the earth. Living organisms are linked to one another by sharing of the common genetic material, but to varying degrees. And next is study of animals is called zoology, and plant is called botany. So these are just the basic term because mind you that we are revising from the NCRT notes. So that is the reason you will find some common terms. So next is Aristotle was the earliest to attempt a scientific basis of the classification using a morphological character, behaviors, and reproduction. Thus, he is called as father of science of biology and zoology. And in his book Historia Animalium, he had discussed about 500 animals. So these are just good factual information to remember because sometimes BPSC does ask these factual questions, which are straight away picked from the NCRT. Next is Theophrastus is considered as father of botany since he was the first to conduct researches on plants in 370 to 287 BC. And what was the name of the book? The name of the book was Historia Plantarum. And next is protoplasm, which is found in all living organism. All biological processes takes place in it. Now, if you see the branches of the biology, so there are different branches of the biology. For example, there is a basic biology and then applied biology. And so basic biology is divided into botany, zoology, and microbiology, and then applied biology is divided into the agricultural science, medical sciences, veterinary sciences, and pharmaceutical science. Now let's talk about the living world. First one is in the living world, two types of things are found: living and non-living being, which we all know. And the thing that growth, develop, reacts, show other feature or life are called living things. Obviously, we have learned it in the small classes also that whatever grows, whatever react, whatever develop, so these are known as living things. And feature of the living organism would be as follows. First one is the protoplasm. It is a physical basis of all living organism. All biological activities takes place here, which we have discussed earlier. And next is cell structure. Cell is the structural and functional unit of all living being. Organisms can be unicellular, that is single cell, and multicellular, more than one cell. Now next is nutrition. We all know that everyone requires food. We as a human being requires food. So certainly there are some other organisms which they also require nutrition, and nutrition can be of two types: autotrophs and heterotrophs. Okay. And next is excretion, that whatever is digested in our body, that needs to get eliminated from our body, and that is known as excretion. Next is cellular respiration. So it's a chemical reaction which occurs inside a cell to release energy via digestion. This energy is utilized for the bodily purpose. Next is metabolism, the sum total of the anabolic and constructive reaction and catabolic, that is destructive reaction, is known as metabolism. Next is growth. Living grow with the increase in number of individual cells. In multicellular organism, growth occur by cell division or increase in cell number of cells. So that is the property of the multicellular organism. Reproduction, we all know that the no matter, especially the mammals, that tend to reflect the tendency to reproduce their young ones. And growth can also be divided into the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Movement, living things exhibit locomotion, which means that we move our hands, we move our limbs. Okay. Animals move with the help of the certain specialized organ, whereas plants show movement as they grow. Okay. So that doesn't mean that the plant are not showing any movement. When they grow, they also show the movement. And sensitivity and adaptability, we, as you all know that we all have the tendency to adapt to the situation. Okay, so living things are sensitive to touch and other stimuli, so they can sense change taking places in the surroundings. Next is biodiversity. Biodiversity is nothing but it's a biological variety and variability that exists on Earth. It measures a variation of genetic species ecosystem level. And next is term is very important. So the term biodiversity was coined by Walter G. Rosen in 1985. So as it's a factual information, it might be asked. So it becomes very important. Okay. So, region lying between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn are called mega diverse regions since they exhibit maximum biodiversity. Example, so it can be asked that what do we call Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, or the region lying between them? So we know it as mega diverse region since exhibit. So example would be the India, Australia, China, Mexico, etc. Next is classification, and so basically classification is basically the scientific arrangement of an organism in a specific hierarchical series of the groups on the basis of similarities and differences. So Greek scientist Aristotle classified animal according to their habitat, whether they lived on land, on water, or air, whether their blood color is red or not, that they are oviparous or viviparous. So basis of the classification, living organisms are categorized on the basis of certain characteristics as follows. So one is the cell structure. So you might have read that they are either prokaryotic, okay, and or they are eukaryotic, okay, and which one among them is not having nucleus within them? You can comment on in the comment box. So prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have different structures. In eukaryotic cells, a membrane cell organelles are found and developed nucleus is also found. In prokaryotic cells, chemical processes are also different. Next is the body structure. Obviously, the unicellular and multicellular organism will have different body structure is different, and they show division of labor, and they make an organism by forming a tissue and organ. The feature is absent in the unicellular organism. Okay, next is the mode of nutrition also changes. One is the autotrophs and heterotrophs. We know about it that they make autotrophs make their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and heterotrophs they obtain their food from the autotrophs. Next is the body organization. Obviously, the body organization of a multicellular organism and unicellular organism is very different. Next is the functional organization, like body organization. Functional organization is also different in different organisms. For example, amoeba uses a pseudopodia for locomotion, and human beings use hand limbs for the movement. So that's the difference. Next is the taxonomical series. So each unit of classification represents a rank as termed as taxons. So that taxonomic hierarchy is a system of arranging taxonomic categories in a descending order. It was first introduced by Carolus Linnaeus, and hence it is known as Linnaeus hierarchy. Okay, and it was this can be good to know factual information. Okay, now next is these are the taxonomic group or categories or distinct biological entities, not merely morphological aggregates. And now most of the time many students they get confused in remembering those, so I have brought a mnemonic technique for you. So first we'll see how does the classification looks like. So first one is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Okay, repeat with me: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So I have brought a mnemonic to remember this. So the mnemonic would be: kids prefer cheese over fried spinach. K for kingdom, P for phylum, C for class, O for order, F for family, S for spinach. S for species. So that's how you will remember. Okay, so let's see what each classification means. For example, kingdom is the highest category. Example, plantain, animalia. Phylum, division for plants, and phylum for the animals. Next is class. Okay, one or more than one or one related orders, that is dicotyledon. Okay, order would be that one or more than one related family. Example, carnivora. Family, one or more than one related genus. Example, Brassicaceae. And genus would be the group of related species. Example, Solanum, and the species would be natural organism that can sexually reproduce. Example, tuberosome. So once again, repeat with me. What will be the classification? It will be kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, and the mnemonic would be kids prefer cheese over fried spinach. So next is the nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature was proposed by the father of the taxonomy, Carlos Linnaeus, in his book Systema Naturae. Again, it's a factual information, and BPSC tends to focus a lot on the factual information. So that will be the case. So next, it is a system of giving scientific names to plants and animals, and the name of every organism is composed of two components, genus and generic species specific. So that kind of naming is termed as binomial nomenclature. For example, the scientific name of human species is Homo sapiens, where Homo is a generic name and sapiens is a specific name. Binomial nomenclature is therefore guided by a set of rules stated in the International Code of Binomial Nomenclature. So basically, these are some conventions. These are good to know information. Might be asked in the BPSC also. So the name of the genus begins with the capital letter. Name of the species begin with the small letter. When printed, the scientific name is given in italics, and when written by hand, the genus and the specific name have to be underlined separately. Okay. And then organism with the taxonomic categories. Common. So for example, see, these are the common name, biological name, genus, family, order, class, phylum, division. I will just give one or two example. For example, man is called Homo sapien, and then housefly is known as Musca domestica, okay, and mango is known as Magnifera indica, and wheat is known as Triticum aestivum, okay. So in the same way, for example, for man, the genus is Homo, the family is Hominid, and order is Primata, class is Mammalia, and phylum is Chordata. Now the classification of living organism. So R.H. Whittaker proposed 5 kingdom classification based on the certain criteria like cell structure, mode of nutrition, reproduction. He divided living organism into the 5 kingdom as below. Okay. So next, first one is the Monra. These organisms are unicellular prokaryotes, and they do not have well-defined nucleus and membrane-bound cell organisms like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, plastid, lysosome, etc. And these are the the prokaryotes. Always remember I always remember like this: prokaryote means primitive, and those who are primitive, they don't have the nucleus within them or well-defined membrane-bound or cell organelles. Okay. Next is mode of nutrition. It will be autotrophic nutrition, blue-green algae and some bacteria, and heterotrophic will be mycoplasma and most bacteria. So they might ask you that what is the mode of nutrition for the blue-green algae, or what is the mode of nutrition for mycoplasma, or and then based on the development, there are 2 types of bacteria: archaebacteria and eubacteria. Let's say about the archaebacteria. These are a group of prokaryotes and also known as living fossils. Okay, they are special bacteria which live in some of the most harsh habitat like extreme salinity, high temperature, acidic, as well as hot springs and marshy areas. They are also found in gut of ruminants, that is cow. And what they do, they help in the digestion of the cellulose and produce gases like methane. Now you have to tell me that whether we human beings can we digest cellulose or not. Okay. Now next is eubacteria. Eubacteria are called true bacteria. Why? Because they are characterized by the presence of the rigid cell wall. If they are motile, they have flagellum. Now they will ask, BPSC can ask, if the bacteria is non-motile, are they called? Do they have flagellum? So they can confuse you. Now it was discovered by the Leeuwenhoek in 1676 and was named as bacteria in 1928 by Ehrenberg. Louis Pasteur worked on fermentation, is known as father of microbiology. That's a factual information. Now general characteristics would be that these are the most simple and primitive organism. They lack cell organisms like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus. However, ribosomes are present. These have rigid cell wall made of peptidoglycan and the inner membrane made up of protein and phospholipids. Usually they lack chlorophyll and thus depend upon the other sources for food. Certain bacteria possesses chlorophyll. Cyanobacteria have autotrophic mode of nutrition. And then next is they reproduce asexually by band diffusion. Now one can confuse you by saying that eubacteria produce sexually. So they can confuse you because actually the eubacteria reproduce by asexual reproduction by the band diffusion. Next is cyanobacteria. They are also known as blue-green algae, and they contain chlorophyll alpha, which is also known as constituent of plant cell, thus making them photosynthesis autotrophs. These are single-cell colonial or filamentous marine or terrestrial algae. Colonies of the blue-green algae are surrounded by gelatinous sheath and they grow well in polluted water. Okay, so you might have seen when a pond which is completely green in color, so that is nothing but the algae. So these organisms has ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen in specified cell called heterocyst. Okay, example nostoc. So which bacteria is responsible for fixing the atmospheric nitrogen? It will be cyanobacteria, and they are also called as heterocysts. Now, chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize inorganic substances like nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia to produce energy as ATP. That is known as chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. Next, we'll study about the protista maybe tomorrow. So that's all for today.